First of all, we want to thank Rabbi Blau for giving us time. All the Torah is the main flagship Moised in Lubavitch. It's a Moised that has from preschool till Zal and Shluchim Gul, and the Manal that oversees the whole of the Torah from infants through the 21-year-old Bachrin and over 400. The Gashmi said the Rukh is rather Blau. It's a big split cross with the biggest Manal in the whole Lubavitch came to share us a few words.
Can I just say one thing? We're in Doral. Who's the shliach here? Rishevitsky.
Avram, mine.
You're his Talmud.
Yes.
The Zion Torah. Thank you. And I was here the next year, and he taught Tzitzis. So he brought Randall Blau to show he was very involved in it. I remember he said, I'm going to bring you a Talmud from last year. He used to do the big ones of wood, and he took the strings.
Yeah.
He came in to help, I still remember that.
Shekayach. Yeah, actually, Rabbi Avram Barshevitsky was phenomenal mechanech. Everyone talks like that. Mechanech like leaves an impression that he cares about you, he loves you, and he runs the class well, and he taught you. Rabbi Avram was Pasha phenomenal. He used to learn for Chassidus Shabbos. He used to take us to the Kollel. He did that your time. He was very close to Rabbi Heller. He used to bring Mizzonis. We were his whole life. At least that's the way we felt. We knew we existed inside his life, not just in the classroom. Anyways, Baruch Hashem. Okay, so really the honor and pleasure is mine. I'll say a few things. Number one, I consider Cheder Chabad, Florida, to be the, so to speak, the sister community, the sister Maisa, the Oholei, the Snif Oholei, Shebe Florida, and the emissaries, it's not, the Oholei has more than one branch. I really believe that when the Rebbe opened up Oholei, the Rebbe was not looking to open up one yeshiva. He was looking to create a certain movement and an approach towards Chinuch, which is part of what we're going to discuss. Oholei, Oholei Menachem, and Kfar Chabad is also very much the Oholei of Kfar Chabad, and was opened up by Rabbi Veshetsky. He actually, similar to Oholei, he started with Oholei, and then after Gimel Tammuz, he became Oholei Menachem, and has the two of them. And a lot of what's interesting is that talk to Rabbi Veshetsky, we have certain issues in common. One of them, and this doesn't define what Oholei is, but it's just interesting when I was reading an article of Rabbi Veshetsky. In other words, he was talking about the struggle of today of Yiddish. When the home language is something else. So in New York or in Florida, you'll have the struggle is going to be English, right? And that's a struggle. And I'm not saying it has to be English. That's a conversation for itself. We're not touching that. I have thoughts on that, and I would love to hear your thoughts. But that's really a conversation for itself. That's not the point of today. But the idea of Oholei has sister communities. But I'm going to go out on a limb for a second to say. And obviously, part of the reason why I'm talking about Oholei, I'm not here to talk about Oholei, I'm here to talk about what I believe Oholei represents as the Rebbe's vision for Chinuch. Today is Oholei's birthday, 68th birthday, Chaim Shana. So first of all, say L'chaim to Oholei, for Oholei, with Mechanchim, that may continue to grow and prosper. L'chaim Shana. To the Mikvurishmainim Shana, and I think Kipshute Adbi is Goyal Tzedek, because that be'etzem was part of the mission statement of Oholei, to raise a generation that is adequately prepared to be the Doral HaGeula. So we're going to touch on some of these points. Some of them, we'll just nip them, and we'll be Ten L'chacham V'yech Kamoid. But going back to Cheder Chabad Florida, I look at it that Cheder Chabad Florida is the Oholei of Oholei. And by the way, if you call yourself Oholei, we're not going to sue you. We're not. We didn't trademark it, and I would imagine some purpose. So it's not trademarked. If you call yourself Chabad, I don't know what you're getting yourself into. If you call yourself Oholei, you should know you're safe. Okay. So here's the nekuda: a birthday celebration by a goy. Yemuledes says pare. It's feeling good. I'm here. I exist. Come celebrate with me. Because I'm here. The Rebbe taught us certain fundamentals for what is a birthday about. So a birthday is a Safa and Torah Tefillah and Staka, because that's what we're here for, right? So if you're celebrating that you're here, so be here, show up. Torah Tefillah and Staka. I don't have Staka on me, but let's make my first donation to Cheder the first. Maybe I participated in the past, but Bli Neder Yitim Matana L'Cheder Chabad. So, and Torah will have over here in Tefillah, we all had. So the Torah Tefillah Tzedakah is the first part of a Yom Haledes. I'm giving the donation specifically for the kini of the building. Not because I'm looking to get out of my donation, but because I'm looking to be a first investor. Okay. The next part of a Yom Haledes is Father's Day. So I can't think of a better, in other words, more friends to sit amongst, to bring about. And the other part of Yom Haledes is the Cheshbon Nefesh, for the purpose not to load yourself up with guilt, but the Rebbe always was forward-looking, not just forward-thinking, but forward-looking, is the Achlatas Toivis. So hopefully something good will come out of this discussion and not just be thought-provoking. Okay, here's the thing. I believe in order to start the discussion, we'll actually back up. And we'll start with a Gemara in Psachim, a very well-known Gemara, often quoted by the Rebbe. Rav Yosef b'yema da'atzarta, Omar Avdili iglotilta. On Shavuos, he would tell the servants in his house to make for him a festive meal. What was the symbol of richness and a festive meal? Iglotilta, shlishi lebeten umufcharu. Top first cut meat. Third cut, but a first cut. Amar ilav ha'yoyma. The Rebbe's Gersa was always ilav ha'yoyma. Ilav ha'yoyma de kagarim. Would it not be for this day, Shavuos, namely Matan Torah? Kama Yosef ika b'shuka. How many Yosefs, instead of being Rav Yosef, a person that was learning Torah, and like Rashi tells us, and the Maimonim often quote this Rashi, Shalamadati Torah v'nisrei mamti. Torah has a pa'ula, it's not just something we do. It's supposed to be a transformative experience. Shalamadati Torah v'nisrei mamti. Sahari anashim harbi b'shuk sheshmon Yosef u'mabini leveinam. So it's very interesting what Rashi does with this Gemara. Pause for a minute. The Gemara of Yosef is talking about, would it not be for Shavuos? So the way you would think of the Gemara loosely is, would it not be for Shavuos? I would be a farmer in the marketplace. Rashi says, no, that's not just an Akud. It's not just, okay, so instead of a farmer in the marketplace, I'm in the yeshiva. Would it not, Shalamadati Torah b'nesrei mamti, if not for Torah raising me up without me internalizing Torah, what really makes me different than the person in the marketplace? In other words, if all I'm doing is learning Torah as like a transactional pula, so then but let's ask a simple question. Without going into the oimek hadiyuk of Rashi, you'll notice Rashi turns the statement into what did Torah do for him? Shalamadati Torah b'nisrei mamti. But Rabbi Yosef, when he chooses to talk about it, he says, would it not be for this day? Why? Say, I made a suda, come to the table with your friends and family. So we're making a suda for Shavuos. Shalamadati Torah b'nisrei mamti. What is Rabbi Yosef looking to accomplish by saying, Ilav ha'yoyma de kagare? If Matan Torah would have never happened, think of what Torah happened. What are you looking backwards? If Matan Torah would not have happened. So the answer, l'chayr is Pashat, upon the Balabatish answer, is that when something happens and you come to the picture years later, it's hard to sometimes appreciate what is it that is happening. So if you want to appreciate what is it that's happening, take yourself for a moment and imagine what would be in the absence of this. Where would I be? In other words, in life, right? So let's take it simple to life. We start our day. Every Yid starts his day with the most important tefillah. What the Rebbe's mother told us is the Rebbe's favorite tefillah. You start off your day with Hoidah. In this tefillah, there isn't a very complex computation going on in your mind. What would have been if I didn't wake up today? Just open your eyes, put your hands together and say, thank you to your life. Appreciate the moment. So we're not taking it for granted, but we also aren't going on a trip. When we come to Asher Yatzar, it gets we go a little bit more into detail. We thank the Eibishter that the piping is working, everything is going well, and we add a piece. So we're recognizing that if not for whatever's working currently, I wouldn't be here to say this bracha. Similarly, right? Let's take other things that we take for granted. We take for granted that we have a roof on our head. In order to appreciate, and a lot of us, actually, we feel like, if only that roof was a little bigger, and if only that roof was a little nicer. But when do we stop to appreciate the roof that we have, whatever it is, wherever it is, even if it's not the most perfect location, and it's not the biggest, and it's not the nicest, when you notice someone, when you look on the Gashmistik in Yonim who has less than you, and you see what's going on for them, you see homelessness, you appreciate, at least I'm not homeless. I have a roof over my head. The same thing, when do we stop, take for a moment to appreciate the fact that we have, in today's day, a tap that you turn it on and comes out clean, filtered, healthy water, when you see what's going on in third world countries, where there isn't clean water, or certainly not available at the click of a button. So there are a lot of things in our life, and we can go on, this list is almost endless, of the things that we take for granted because we're born into it. And the only time we pause is when we take ourselves back to the question, Ilav hayoma. Would I not have this? Where would I be? What would be going on for me? So let's go over to the conversation of Oholei Torah. So over here, when you're looking on the screen in the image, and I'll tell you why this image is, so to speak, significant. Everyone knows that at Mechol started Oholei Torah. Yassel, Alav Shalom, took Oholei Torah to a whole other level. And Baruch Hashem, today, it continues to grow under the Anhala and with the tremendous involvement of the board of directors and assistants. But what most people don't always know is the extent of the Rebbe's involvement in Oholei Torah. The average person will tell you, and it's truth, there's truth to it, the Rebbe spoke a Sicha Simchas Torah Tavshin Tezvav, and Rebbe Chol was the Nachshim Ben Amil, like the Rebbe often fabried about something. He would speak B'Rabim, of something that he wants to happen. He didn't point to anyone. Go, whoever feels an achrayus to take the Rebbe's word forward, go do it. Who is the Rebbe talking about? Tutals, Wasser Kent. Every one of us. And no one, if we're not going to act, and so then we weren't being spoken to. So, was Oholei Torah started Rebbe Mechol by the Rebbe's inspiration? It's much deeper. And we'll show it in a few parts, and then we'll say, so what's the difference? Does it just make us feel good, or it matters to the conversation? Rabbi Zellickson, when he made the Hayom Yom, he created in the Hakdama a Shalshalas Hayachas of Rabbi Sein Nesienu. So obviously the hardest part is to write about the Rebbe. And the Rebbe is going to edit it, to be accurate. So he opened up Hayom Yom. So he wrote it in one version, and then he wrote in another version. Additional things that he perhaps didn't know or didn't think of at the time that he was seeing. So in the Hashmata that you're looking at on the screen, he added that in Tafshin Tezayin, the Rebbe was Miyasid Yeshivas Oholei Torah. Not the Rebbe spoke about it in Simchas Torah, and then Oholei Torah was started. The Rebbe was Miyasid Yeshivas Oholei Torah. The Rebbe made many corrections on this page. You see them in the Rebbe's handwriting. The Rebbe left it. The Rebbe acknowledged it. But let's go a little bit deeper. Okay. Let's pause for a minute and look at the trajectory, so to speak, in a quick thing. Oholei Torah started even before that building. Oholei Torah started on Strauss Street. It's a tiny group. It went from building to building until they were tenants sounds familiar? Until they were tenants in the 667, and later they bought it. Yeyomar l'schusam, and bayom mehim bizman hazeh, Yeyomar l'schusam, that the conservatives had an offer that was 10 times more than what Oholei Torah was offering. 10 times more than what Oholei Torah was offering. But they understood that this building was built by Yidden. This building was built with the plan that it should be the community center and a yeshiva. Actually, the red building that later went up, they originally had plans for it. They originally had plans, not much the building the way you see it, but in this space. They were planning on building accessory classrooms. But Lapile, the community took a massive, this building came ready in 1950 something, and the community took a massive turn by the 1970s, and it was all the opposite of what they expected. But it can't be stressed enough, and whoever those Yidden were involved in, they had a lot of money on the table. The churches were moving into Crown Heights, and they chose at a tremendous loss to all of them to sell it to Oholei Torah. I believe the price was 400,000, but I can't be quoted on that for accuracy. And I believe they were being offered 4 million. For you do the math for those days, what the difference is. Tremendously, they could have got much more. They gave it to Oholei Torah. Today, Oholei Torah, Baruch Hashem, we outgrew that. Besides for adding the red building, the dormitory buildings, all different stages with the Eibishter's brachas. Oholei Torah today is in East Flatbush, Troy Avenue, just the 8th grade is there, Mesivta campus, the campgrounds, and over here we are bursting on the seams kipshuta. We cannot find 2 square feet. One of the things that we hear from anyone that comes to visit Cheder, Chabad, LA, they said, you know what size offices they have? Yeah, we know. Do you know what size classrooms they have?
Florida.
Huh?
Florida.
Florida. Do you know what size classrooms they have? Right? Even recently we had a conversation with Rabbi Matasov about classroom setups, this way, that way. And I had a certain atiyah, very similar to Rabbi, to the style, the way it is in Cheder Chabad. And when I get back right away, when the classrooms are 700 square feet, but when the classrooms are barely 400 square feet, the din is different. Okay? But anyways, so
Talking what we said, we're looking how the classrooms are set up. They're set up on like that. So I went to the kindergarten, first and second grade, how they're set up like a chas, or there's tables, like PKBs and tables on the side. So
I did the math. Classroom test, you can afford to get a 56.
yeah, I'm out. I'm not saying the Bamedbar Mamur is legitimate or not legitimate. Now we're going to need a much longer conversation for that. I'm just saying the type of sense. It looks expansive. It's not expansive. When you make a calculation how many students are here and the square footage per student, it's not acceptable by any standard. Not by Head Start standards, not by UPK standards, not by whatever, not by even human standards. It's crowded. Baruch Hashem. And hopefully the Eibusher will help us continue to grow and expand. Gerade on this day of Oholei Torah's birthday, we could all say L'chaim and a bracha, that we're waiting tremendously for the one standing neighbor to be willing to sell. We're not looking to, everyone has issues. And we're not looking to stiff her out, and we're offering her kesef mali and everything. So the Eibusher, right, it says Leiv Malachim B'yad Hashem, and on her house, she's a melech. So the Eibusher gave it in your hearts. She's ready to sell and move to a nicer block and let Bachram learn instead of in that place. Amen. Okay, so let's go weiter. Yeshiva is obviously not about bricks and mortars. That there's many. We can't compete with Walmart and Costco. What a yeshiva really is about is what's going on inside the yeshiva. So you have again Oholei Torah. Starting off with little classrooms. This was a group photo. And then this is already small. This is 8.5 years ago. There's Baruch Hashem 300 more Talmidim today in the yeshiva than in this picture. And this is, and the staff are not in this picture. Anyways, Baruch Hashem. So, V'kein Yirba V'kein Yifritz. Not just do we have a lot of Talmidim, let's look at the outcomes of Oholei Torah. This is just one angle of it. Just the shluchim that came out of Oholei Torah, large part that came out from the Cheder through the Oholei Torah, and a large part that maybe even learned in Oholei Torah just for a year or two. Oholei Torah is not just a Beis HaYetzer for shluchim. I think all of us recognize in Chinuch Befrat today that our job is to prepare people that are in essence shluchim, whatever they're going to do in life, right? So Torah's list and Torah's outcomes is in raising Yidden around the world that themselves are raising Yiddish families with the qualities of the yeshiva instilled in them. So let's go back. This is where we're at today. We come into the picture, Torah, big meister, it's operating. What's the idea of it? Who needs it? What's the Hagdara? In other words, in what way is Torah maybe different than the meister that existed before Torah came about? What's its Pu'ulan Hashpa and its so to speak secret to existence and its need to exist? Similar note, let's take a look at this video. Why did the Rebbe see to it that there were many mices, going back to what we said earlier, where the Rebbe spoke about the importance, but how many mices did the Rebbe cover the bills? From Mitchila ad Gemira, straight. Pause a minute and listen. Hope your sound. Take a second. 1 second.
And the Rebbe I have feels at that period on my weekend. Don't like it, English, that I'm landed in Gil, but if I'm Cheder, so we, the Rebbe, so, you know, and right now it's not just from them again, I said, and the Malcolm not really got the Rebbe, so we took place all the Gil. And there is some option like that. When you got young enough, you got in the Rebbe to Gil. She won't gain a little bit of this. The Rebbe, so we Gil. And you should give my God to say, you should be all proud that you were living in the Rebbe's yeshiva, and the Rebbe said that when Mashiach will come, the Mechal will say, will show, these are the people, the students when we brought up, and the Eibishter will be very happy, and Mashiach will be happy. When Mashiach says, come and take him out.
So, before we go weiter, just quickly tell you the hemshech of that story. There's a lot of people, the first time you hear it, they go, 1 second. You learned in all the Torah, you know the David Eich. David Eich was the partner of the Mechal, so who was paying for it? Was it Mechal double dipping? Is he going to the Rebbe and David? So here's the story itself. It's a gewaltige Musar Haskell. Reb Nissen Emenov. Also, the Mechal, everyone knows the other part of the politics. That, you know, all the title was for the Russische, that they didn't feel were given their place amongst the Polishes that were running the Galitsky's. You'll forgive me. I also have Russische blood. I also have outside blood. So, yeah. So, huh? Yeah. I'll go upon him, but I'm saying so. Reb Nissen and Mechal, they were the Russische. They were very close. And Reb Nissen is running Benoit, and he's watching the Mechal. Said, "Tutzich, he's running up Cheder." So he asked the Mechal, "Tell me a secret. Tell me advice." From fun and so they got. No one. Everyone thought of Mechal, big Chaberman. He's covering the bills. They're vax. He's adding teachers one after another. So he tells him, "Listen, the Chashoy as a friend." He says, it's not public knowledge, but the Rebbe told me, you just focus on bringing the Talmidim and teachers and the Geld Salech. Nissen heard this, and Nissen began to burn up. He says, Machal, the Nems Geld by Rebbe? You're taking money from the Rebbe? A Rebbe Gitman. Von a Rebbe nimmt man nicht. In other words, Chassidim had all the years the idea, Maimid, you give to the Rebbe, you support the Rebbe, you hold out the Rebbe. You're living off the Rebbe? You're leeching off? So Michal heard it. And, okay, but you got to cover the bills. So he went to the David Deitch. And he told the David Deitch, I want to tell you a secret. This is the way the yeshiva's running. The Rebbe is the partner covering the entire budget. I'm offering you the schos to take the Rebbe's place. David Deitch, on the spot, told him deal. On the spot, told him deal. He covered the entire expense of the Cheder for many years. Now, there's other interesting parts, and I'll mention it because it might be relevant at some point. But the Machal, there was one that Reb David Deitch at one point had a big time on his partnership with him, maybe more than one point. But I heard this from his son-in-law Zeiler, which remembers they were young, they were in the business, and they saw that David's giving all the profits away. Then Michal says that Michal would sometimes come and be embarrassed how much he owes. So they would sit down, and Michal would begin to give him bills that he owes over here and bills that he owes over there. And then as he's feeling the temperature from David, how much can he? So he sees it. David says, okay. He says, pulls out another one from the pocket, another receipt. David pulls out another one. This is the point that David said, Nemeni's out from cash and put it on the table. Just tell me what you owe. Okay, so it was tough. Even though Michal had to walk carefully with his shutef and his balabas. When the boys came to 8th grade, the Michal decided to open up a Masifta. Now, at the time, and like we'll learn soon, part of the Chiddush of the Rebbe's Shita.
First year.
Yeah, the first batch. So, part of the Chiddush of the Rebbe's Shita was the emphasis on the younger boys. And I'll contrast that, and obviously I'm not here, Chas v'Shalom, to bash other hashkafis and litvish, but let's say on the Shabbaton, over here, one of the questions that they asked, certain, leading Gedolim, Paiskim, whatever the Hazadracha, they asked us if a Gvir has $1, so to speak, $100, $1,000 that he's going to give, and he has a cheder at his door, or he has a yeshiva and a koil at his door, which one should get it? And there were a lot that felt that the ois halt and the bnei Torah is the highest point. Now, I cannot say what the Rebbe would answer. I can only say what I believe, based on the Rebbe's Torah, would be the Rebbe's approach. I believe the Rebbe's approach would be, obviously, there should be some way everything is necessary, but if really pushed into a corner, the one that is most impactful to the continuity of Yiddishkeit is the Cheder, what's going on in Cheder. And we'll come to that soon, we'll explain it a little bit better. But the point is that Torah started with a Cheder. And Michal opens up a Masifta, and he comes to Reb David Deitch that year, and he puts down the bill. The deficit is growing because the Masifta is another small class and another teacher, and this time you need a mashpia. Reb David got very upset. And he told her, Michal, that's not the deal of the partnership. The deal of the partnership was the Cheder. Who authorized you to open up the Masifta? So Michal said, what do you mean? Where should these boys go? He said, where should they go? They got a good chinuch as it is. In the early days of Torah, it was quite common. We actually have the student records. You can see it from in the early days of Torah, and until even in the middle of Rabbi Lustig's leadership, a lot of people would come into Torah for the early years. They wanted the Taharas Hakodesh for the younger, mamish formative years, and then they would move over to Lubavitch Yeshiva. So in David's mind, we have Torah. Let's focus on Torah, make it the best. What are you opening up a sifta for? Who needs it? So Michal's telling him the opposite. What do you mean? In the Sifta, it's a high school, they also have the Mudacha. Okay, David's not convinced, and Be'ikr, his younger children, are not convinced. They're breaking their backs. The ganze Geld geht by the Michal. So they decided they're going to go for, like, so to speak, a din tied up by the Rebbe. Not the Michal agreed that David should ask the Rebbe, and whatever the Rebbe tells him. So David went into Yechidus, and I heard this straight from Zeiler. They're standing outside, and they were hoping, they prepared him, he's going to convince the Rebbe that the Rebbe started Michal out. The Masifta is out of the contract, you close the Masifta today. Bad mistake. He went in with a good pitch and a nimuk. He comes out, and his kids were waiting to hear that's Ad Khan, and he says, there's more to the story, but the Ikaros that ever says, that ever heard him. The Rebbe validated. It wasn't right that Mechal started it without asking you, but Hazevi said Ungehaven. It's Mamshich sein. It's Mamshich sein. When it came to the Zal, also weiter Mamshich. Where did the Rebbe tell the Mechal, so to speak, the Ad Kan? Pause on 770. After Shlichus, the Mechal was going to make it that all Torah boys come back to all Torah. Over there, the Rebbe spoke about a pause. There's a lot to be said about, and whether that pause should exist indefinitely forever or not, but that's, again, a noise for itself. But just history of, so to speak, how things developed and came to where they are. So let's go back even. You have to first start it, and then you talk. Yeah.
I just arrived on a test. I decided with Frank McCarthy this first year after Shlichus, the Bochum for the summer have to go to Siberia. Those are Tzachyiton after Rebbe. So both Rabbi Shenta, Ramo, and Detroit, and the Mechanchim called up. And from Achkan Yisrael. So God, the good idea. Father called with Rabbi Mechol, decided, okay, each Gan Yisrael will send 2 representatives. So David Abel Motchkin, and myself, we ended up half a summary. The whole was quite strong.
Yes.
Saying everything. God, this is I know.
Right. He wanted the immersive experience 24/7, 365. That was his vision. Okay, so now let's rewind. We're going to go, until now we were discussing, just beginning to hit the tip to say, let's entertain for a minute, what would be pre-Oholei Torah. What about, let's go pre-Time Chitzim. Let's rewind a little bit more. And we'll go a quick ishtalshlos, and feel free to chime in if I'm saying something inaccurate. I'm touching on certain bullets, moving. It's not the full story in each part. So we know in the order of, in the Cheder of organized yeshivas, we have 3 tkufas. The Rebbe Rashab, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Rebbe. The Rebbe Rashab started Time Chitzim. Who was Time Chitzim started for? Not for Cheder. The Rebbe Rashab started Time Chitzim for Bachram past Bar Mitzvah, 14, 15, 16. They're already learning Chassidus. It's a different model of Chinuch. Time Chitzim was not an elementary. It was not a Cheder. The Frierdiker was the Menal of Time Chitzim. When the Rebbe Rashab started Time Chitzim, what did he say is one of the motivating factors? Besides that, in hindsight, we saw that was a time where Min HaShamayim, it was a time that yeshivas were organizing. Slobodka and all the yeshivas, even in the Litvisha world, started organizing as the Meir Shapiro opened the yeshiva, but that wasn't the Rebbe Rashab's Nekuda. Part of it was the vision, Mitzvah Tov, and also the concern of watching how a scholar was penetrating many of the yeshivas. People were learning, but they were learning as intellectual, grace of Talmid Chachamim, and the idea that learning has to be internalized, Shalamadati Toiv V'Nisrei Mamti, that it transforms me as a yid, was absent from the conversation in many yeshivas. So the Rebbe Rashab felt the importance to have. So how was the Rebbe? Oh, that's what I was getting at. That's what I meant. There was the Surminat, that's Seitoy. Very good. How was the Rebbe Rashab going to tackle that? The Rebbe Rashab's chidush was to bring in, right? You see, limud ha'toyim avodah shebelei tefillah, limud ha'nigla v'limudach. Has to be 2 together. You cannot take just one part of Torah. Limud ha'nigla v'limudach, and it was a chiddush because at the time, who was really being oisik in chassidus? It was more the elite, younger light, etc. Over here, he took Bachram and made a part of the Seder Hayom. Frierdiker started off as the menal of the yeshiva, but under communism, and as Yiddishkeit was being decimated, the Frierdiker started a very active campaign of Chadarim. And the Frierdiker was known for his Fabrengens, where he campaigned, Sai in encouragement, and Sai in Sharfered, Tashbar. Everything by the Frierdiker Rebbe. At that point, to hold Yiddishkeit alive, survival, when our existence was at the core, when Jewish continuity was at stake, the answer wasn't Time Chitzimim for Bachim, Imein Gdi, Imein Tiyashiv. Tashbar, tashbar, tashbar. To the point that my Zayda Afsin would often repeat the Frierdiker Rebbe turning to the Bishop the Masmid. The Bishop the Masmid was hyped. I mean, whatever we say is not going to be right. Everyone, we don't need to say anything more. The Bishop the Masmid. And the Frierdiker Rebbe turns to him at Fabringen. And the Rebbe says, and the Frierdiker Rebbe tells him, Iche, Tomer du tust in Tashbar, bist du meiner? Tomer du tust nicht in Tashbar, bist du Take Iche, bist nicht meiner. Heißt das auch Wörter? Kweide bim Kaime Monach. Tomer du tust in Tashbar, bist du meiner. So we turned the entire focus from, so to speak, stelling the Ben Torah, the Chassid, the Tashbar, Chadarim. Now let's fast forward. Frierdiker comes to America. The first thing he did, first of all, there was the idea of what he wrote, his vision on the boat. And he told then Rabbi Chadakov, my great uncle, he told him that before you come to a place, you have to have a vision, because once you come, you get, so to speak, sucked into the work. You gotta stay out for a minute, right? Go out. While we're still out, before we come to the shore, let's map out. And that's where the Frierdiker Rebbe mapped out his vision with, this is going to be Machne Yisrael, America's Linyone Chinuch, and Agudas Chassidic Chabad. That structure with the three ideas in each organization, what its main thing, that was, so to speak, the white paper happened right on the boat. What did the Frierdiker Rebbe do? The first thing he came to America, besides the famous declaration of America's Nishandish, established Time Chitzim. Established. Now let's go to the Rebbe. We saw earlier in the Shalshalos Tayachas, Meyasid Yeshivas Olitoira. And Be'etzim, this is Pile Ployim. How many times did the Rebbe speak everything? The Rebbe the Shver. Everything was the Rebbe the Shver. From all things on something so ikr, like a yeshiva, the Rebbe should open up a competing yeshiva to what was established in the Rebbe's office. Just to illustrate, in the Rebbe's office, they say about the electrician that was brought in to work on the wiring. The Rebbe didn't want him replacing. The Rebbe wanted everything figured out. This is the Cheder the Frierdiker Rebbe gave me. The air conditioner had to be, the air conditioner, the heater. I don't know if it came with the air conditioner, but the Rebbe wanted everything refurbished, not replaced. Why? This is the Doral Namas. Why did the Rebbe move into another office? Because this is the room the Frierdiker Rebbe gave me. My father remembers, and I'm sure all of you that are older can remember, that the Rebbe would hold the Sefer Torah on Atalis, even though his father held it with Atalis. Why? Because the Frierdiker Rebbe held it without Atalis. 1777. Maybe the opposite. His father held it on Atalis. The Frierdiker Rebbe held it with Atalis. And when he was called up, Simchas Torah, with the Frierdiker Rebbe, he would hold it with Atalis. So we all know what the Frierdiker Rebbe is Leitzchaim. What the Frierdiker Rebbe is by the Rebbe. From all things, the Rebbe should open up a competing yeshiva, a different yeshiva, in the community, a tiny community. Pili Ployim. Before we touch that, which we'll get to if there's time, let's let's touch something about the Frierdiker Rebbe. The Frierdiker Rebbe came to America, declared America's Nishandish. He did have Limudei Chayil, and we'll see soon some of the minus, or I'll share the PowerPoint. We're not going to touch on a lot, but the Frierdiker Rebbe accepted English. In Tafshin Beis, there was a big Cheder on Chinuch, where the education department was being lobbied to make a policy that Limudei Kodesh has to be the second part of the day. The day has to start with Limudei Chayil. And the Frierdiker Rebbe, you see, comma letters, where the Frierdiker Rebbe, let's even just take this one. He's writing to Rabbi Yisrael Rosenberg, and he writes to him, there's multiple letters in this Tkuf of Tafshin Beis. Frierdiker says, Gzeira ayuma v'neira bechilu kedush satoyda menachefes harashi kol adas b'nei Yisrael yesh b'New York Rabasi, the greater New York. Bazeh shereitzim lachriach hoya leisia lahaktim lelimudei hakodesh es lahavdil limudei achor b'yeshivas. And the Rebbe goes on to say, besides the Nezek, Friedrich Rebbe goes on. Each letter has a different way, multiple letters that you have. Yeah, but it's even exactly. It's that, and it's even more. Let's even go to Akriya Vakdusha. I'll take. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it. It's some hard Yiddish, so I'll try to do it well. But the title is Nit. Say a resounding no. The Stadische Board of Education will unterdrücken die Zeit von Limud Torah in die Hige Yeshivas von die Morgenstunden zu die Nachmittagsstunden. Wants to move it over the Board of Education. Was das ist a schädliche und ungerechte Forderung. Für die Yeshivas ist das sehr gefährlich Gzera, Mikaimataimen, one of them is there again, und sie droht mamish their existence. It's threatening the existence. It's threatening the existence, even though it's going to be the same hours, the 2 blocks. We're just going to switch the order. It's threatening the existence. The Yiddish Emperor, diese Gzera darf sein an unterschrockenen Nit. Straight out, fearless. No. Das ist bei uns ein Iker ihnen in Emunah und die Hige Constitution, the Constitution of America, gibt uns das Recht. It gives us the right. So the Friedrich Rebbe did not, at the time, acknowledge that there may be a right not to even learn Limud Chol, and you'll see that was a part of the reason why the Friedrich Rebbe allowed Limud Chol. But the Friedrich Rebbe was absolutely convinced that constitutional law would protect that you can set the hours and what should be where. And the Friedrich Rebbe was lobbying everyone, Rabbanim, and he talks about, very interesting in different letters, he talks about what is going to be necessary to pull this off. You can't fight a State Department solo. You don't fight a State Department by just holding an opinion. You need to win in the court of public opinion. He talks about rallying the parents, rallying Askanim, rallying lawyers, everything. You need to get everyone on board to put the brakes on it. And the Friedrich Rebbe was successful. I'm sure with many other Askanim, the Friedrich Rebbe was successful in keeping to it, that at least the morning is going to start with Kodesh. It's going to be other hours that are going to have some Chol. Comes the Rebbe, and let's stop. I'm going to leave you off with Shilas, and then you can tell them. Let's go to some of the Shilas that are often asked about the Rebbe's opinion. Is this Choil or Tumor? There's a difference between, right, there's Kodesh and there's Choil. It's not Kodesh, and there's Tumor. It's Chazer Treif, or it's just not Mahal. What is it? What's the idea? What's this play of the word? There's Chinuch al Taharas Hakodesh, which we're all familiar what it means in the Gemara, right? There's Tumah, there's Kodesh, and there's Chinuch al Taharas Hakodesh. And then what's Chinuch al Taharas Hakodesh? What can we learn from this expression? If there was Limud Chol in the yeshiva by the Friedrich Rebbe, how did it become Tommy suddenly? Let's go to Gimel. If it's Tommy, why open up all the Torah? Knock it out of a Bab Yeshiva. Knock it out of the whole community. What's with Beis Rivka? I said if. One second. No, because we're going to see Tumah. Okay? Everything is, we're not establishing anything. Everything is just a wonder, and then we'll try to. Beis Rivka, if any of you ever bring this to Rebbe Avram Shem Tov, Avram Shem Tov talks about the letter that he saw in the Friedrich Rebbe's Ksav Yad. The Rebbe, even before, Nasi of Beis Rivka. The Rebbe was the Nasi of Beis Rivka. Beis Rivka had Limud Chol. Why was that okay? And more than that, there's minus. That when Beis Rivka was inspired by the Rebbe's campaign and they wanted to knock Limud Chol out, the Rebbe told them no. They wanted to make a less of a region. Shouldn't be such Kodesh. The Rebbe told them no. So what's going on? I always feel, and I'm sure everyone feels the same, that the Rebbe's shittas are the deepest. It takes mesinos to learn them, and you push it to think about it. Because anyone that's a kitzoini and has black and white opinions, it's very easy to follow their script. This is good, and this is not good. And by the Rebbe, this is just one example. We can go on many examples, take the Rebbe's approach to Medinas Yisrael. The Rebbe was good with that. What's the pshat? The Rebbe was on the Torah Karta while he was also meeting with Shazar. It wasn't dancing on all the chas. The Rebbe had a certain Mishnah Yuchedes, which took certain principles, and what the principles of truth is what he held on to, and not the rest. So Bechlau, the Rebbe, this is part of the hardship over here, that it requires more than just a sheer, it requires like digesting it, thinking about it. And this is like what's a birthday? He's biting us. You try to think why David should put you over here. So Yutes Tevis, to me, is a day to think, what do we need this for? Is it to give us jobs? Is it to keep us busy? What do we need this for? What are we here for? What's the matar? What was the Rebbe's vision? And once we understand it, how do we advance it? Sas Hamedina. Right? Okay, so we're finishing off. If Beis Rivka was under the Nesias of the Rebbe didn't allow it to stop. Let's go to Dalet. Since when is English Tommy? And maybe it's not. We're not suggesting that it is. Maybe English is the Mudichoyel, or English is Sfas HaMedina. What about math? People say, math, that's not the Mudichoyel. That's just developing logic. Who doesn't want a child to be logical? Want a child to be able to learn Gemara? So teach him math. It's logic skills. What's the difference, on that note, what would be the difference between learning math inside a Rashi and taking a book that takes all those Rashis and put it into a book and say, here we have a Torah, not just we're not going to use the ideas that we don't want in our schools. I'm even going to take a Torah and math curriculum. I'm going to take all the Rashis and all the complicated Gemaras. Anyone remembers Psachim Kuftas with the Mikvah, Arbaim Sa with Etzbaim, Berim Etzbaim, Chatzi Etzba, V'chemesh Etzba? And take all these Gemaras and we'll make it. This is for grade 1, this is grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. We'll go. Is that going to be good? Is that going to satisfy? Or that's also problematic? Or at Kopanim, it's not Chinuch al Taharas Hakodesh. Okay. All these questions, they're all interconnected. What's the big deal if there will be an hour or two? Tell me, what's the problem? You got everything. So I said, what do you have to show in all the Torah with the extra hours of Kodesh? We started the same Chumash. We covered the same amount of Gemara. You guys waste more time. Let's say, I don't want to turn the conversation into that sort of thing, but just for the sake of relevance. We could maximize our time and carve an hour. Or you know what? Let's not carve an hour. We'll leave till 4 o'clock. We'll add 5 o'clock for English. Is now good? Would that work? Let's go to Zion. It's very important. One loaded question. Is the yeshiva of Taharas Hakodesh all about what we stay away from? The checkpoints at the door? No, this is not coming into the yeshiva. This is not coming. Or is Taharas Hakodesh a model for education, what it should look like? And in order for it to look like this, there are certain things that can't be here. Which one is it? Most of us are much better at communicating this. No, this is Chazat Reif. So what is it? Yeah. Articulate. What is it? Yeah. And how does it change? Every school is going to have some of those same things. Question Ches, also a loaded question. Okay, the school doesn't do it, so should parents do it? Should parents make sure, we'll do it out of school. Should parents do it? So I'm going to have to go, but I'll try to, when it's finished, I'll try to send it. It's a little raw, so it's not going to help if I send it right now. But try to send it when it's ready. There's a lot to unpack. This is what it's supposed to look like, what it's not supposed to look like. And then the goal was that at the end of this year, a person should be able to answer these 5 questions. Where would we be if the Rebbe Rashab didn't open Time Chitvim? Where would we be if the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't keep Cheder Tashbar in Russia? Where would we be if the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't fight the Mechanchim of Tafshin Beis? Where would we be if all the Torah wasn't open in Tafshin Tezayin? And then more positively speaking, how does all the Torah affect me personally, my family, where I come from, Lubavitch is the community, and inspiration for the world. L'chaim, l'chaim. The ikar is, it should be Achlatas Trevis. Huh? I have to go. I wish I can stay.
It's the elevator. I'd like to get you.
I'm waiting for a few.
So what's talking here?
That was the wonderful.
Huh?